All right, so y'all know I don't normally do this, right? But today was something special. So as a lot of first thing in the morning, I'm doing my prayers and I'm reading a book and I'm also learning something like through an audio, right? So I do my prayers, I read a chapter a day, and then I listen to 30 minutes of something that I didn't know before. Like I learned something, whether if it's a business training or a psychology training or a philosophy training. I'm listening to at least 30 minutes of that every day. So we already know that. However, right now I'm reading this book. It's called David, right? It's called David, The Shepherd Years, A Heart Like This, and it's written by Larry Littenwalter. All right, so I just wanted to read this to you guys. I was just speaking to Zakira Casado, and sometimes we get into these really deep conversations, and today it just landed on, the heart of David and what David was all about. All right, so this book, for anybody who's going to read it, this is not just about the David and Goliath story. All right, David, to me, I never knew how important David was. I didn't know how great of a person David actually was until I started reading this book. So when you read this book, you're going to really start to see what really made David special was the heart that he had, and he did everything in. So let me start this real quick because I don't want to make this a too long video. Like I said, I don't normally do this. I'm usually here every Saturday and every Sunday, but today is the first time I'm coming back for a second thing. I had to get this off my chest, right? So it reads right here on page 83. It says, Eliab. I didn't even know David had a brother, you know what I'm saying? But one of his brothers named Eliab, all right, he had likely heard David tell stories about how he killed a bear and a lion and had other such daring escapades. It's hard for an older brother to handle someone like David. Courageous, musical, aggressive, spiritual, a good worker, good-looking, strong, and who's landed a prestigious job in the palace. Everything is here for classic sibling rivalry and jealousy. Bruggeman notes that Eliab's anger is not directed against either the Israelites or the Philistines, right? No, he is angry with little David. Well, of course, little brothers bother big brothers, especially if big brothers are pretending to be mighty men of valor who are immobilized in fear and cannot fight. David's presence immediately exposes Eliab as a coward and all of men with him. All right, Gordon puts it bluntly. Eliab's anger is the anger of a man who feels small because of the Israelites' army's inability to deal with Goliath. All right, and he particularly resents looking small in the eyes of his young brother. David's brothers were the ones who had enlisted, following Saul off to war. It was them, right? But these so-called warriors and big talkers at home, all right, they were now wimps, cowards, and out of touch with God. When it came right down to it, they didn't have the right stuff. So what did Eliab do? As is the case, whenever someone feels embarrassed, ineffective, a failure, or empty, he diverted attention away from himself and his weakness, away from his fear and his emptiness, to David's problems. All right, he said everything that he could think of to discourage and belittle his brother and get the spotlight off of himself. And he does this by raising questions about David's motives. Look, David, why have you really showed up here? Then Eliab asked a question designed to humiliate David, right? He said, hey, David, where did you leave that handful of sheep? Finally, he gets downright ugly, and this is Eliab, right? I know your insolence and the wickedness of your heart. You just came here for the excitement. You just want to see the battle. Thus, Eliab questions motives, implies he irresponsible, insults him, and demeans his work as a mere shepherd, right? You ever have someone do something like that to you? You ever have somebody, marginalize you, right? And try to shrink you down? Well, listen. Go home, he said. You don't belong here. The reader, though, knows that all of the charges are empty and inappropriate. David came because his father had asked him to. His father, this is what father told David and why he showed up to this whole thing, right? His father told him, take this half bushel of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread to your brothers and give these 10 cuts of cheese to their captain, right? See how your brothers are getting along and bring me back a letter from them, right? This is David's father giving him a message of why he needed to even be here. So Eliab claimed that he knew all about the evil in David's heart, but he didn't. Had he really understood his brother's heart, he would have never recognized, he would have recognized that David was a man after the heart of God. He obviously diagnosed David's heart exactly the opposite of what God had. By calling his brother proud, Eliab revealed his own heart. Check this out right here. Liars think that most others are liars, just as thieves assume everyone else is a thief, or proud people see their own ignorance in others and hate them for it. Isn't it interesting how we can so easily and readily project our own guilt into someone else's life? Right? Whew. Man. Again, I'm reading this straight out of the book, David, the Shepherd's Years. I don't know what you took from that, but if you ever realize the story of David and Goliath, it's absolutely incredible, right? It was like, for those who don't know and you're interested in looking into it, you really should, because the story of David and Goliath, a lot of people glorify it and they just really say about how it just happened and what went down, and David beat Goliath. However, they don't talk about how long this standoff was, right? The Philistines and the Israelites, I mean, they were standing off with each other. They didn't want to fight for whatever the reason. They just didn't fight. And then Goliath, after a few weeks, Goliath, he came up to, he left his camp and he came a little bit closer so that the other team can hear him. The other, the other group of people can hear him. And he said, yo, what's going on? Why don't we do it like this? Since we ain't going to fight, let anybody who wants to come kill me, if you can kill me, my camp, we will be a slave for you for the rest of our lives. And if the person who comes to fight me wins, then we will be the slave. Not only will I die, but my camp, they will be slaves to you for the rest of our lives. Right? So this went on for a long period of time, and David just kept checking in. Like this time, his father just sent them a message, right? He sent them some food, and he also wanted to hear back from, see how his brothers was doing. So I say all of that to say this. There's times that you will experience in your life and on your journey, right? Where, like David's brother, people will belittle you, right? People will figure out a way to turn your volume down, right? They will figure out a way. What I made this video for and why I wanted to come back twice today is because if you have the heart of God, and if what's in your heart, even though people are turning your volume down, and even though they are belittling you, you continue to have that heart that David did, and just always keep your faith and all your love in God, and keep God in all the process of what you do, you will come out on top victorious, right? You will come on top. But this what we just spoke about, you're not the only person that's going through something, right? You're not the only person that's going through something. If you think that, then obviously you're hanging around some people who they find that they're weak if they can't share some of their weaknesses with others. They're always upbeat. They're always, on to something great. But if you really know somebody, and if you know somebody that's really successful, you'll know that they have challenges just like everybody else. However, what I've come to find, and also through the life of David, is that you got to keep that heart. That you got to know why what God has touched you with, right? You got to know what God really means to you, right? Did He really die on the cross for you, right? Did He really rise up again for you? And if you can remember that through all the crazy things that's going to happen to you on your journey, you really are going to go far, right? So this your boy, Billionaire Brown. Thank you for coming to my YouTube channel. Thank you for hitting the subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out with me again, right? I don't normally drop these videos, and it's probably not going to be a habit that I'm going to do, but something about me just touched me. So I'm working on finishing this book right now, but if you're looking for a book and you're looking to figure out some, you're doing research trying to get closer to God, consider this book. So far it's so good, and I'm almost finished. I got like 3 more chapters to go. All right, so continue to read, stay young, stay foolish, and always question everything. even this video. Peace.